Meat City, baby.
Hello and welcome back to Meat City Gaming. JD here with another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes video, and today we're covering the 7-star Millennium Falcon Legendary event. The Flight of the Falcon. This is Tier 7, the last tier of the event where you get the 7-star Hans Millennium Falcon. In an earlier video, I covered how to do Tiers 5 and 6. You unlock the Millennium Falcon at Tier 5 at 5 stars. You can earn the 6-star version with Tier 6. And in those two videos, what I did is try to approach the battle without using the 4th bounty hunter. As you know, there are currently 4 bounty hunter ships in the game, and you need to have all of them at the star level for the tier that you're trying to do. So to unlock the Tier 5 5-star Millennium Falcon, you need all 4 bounty hunter ships at 5 stars. So for Tier 7, you need all 4 of those ships at 7 stars. So what I tried to do, again, in that first video, I had one of my bounty hunter ships, the Xanadu Blood, basically untouched. So I left it on my in my reserves. I never even called it as a reinforcement. Wanted to see if I could complete the mission just using the other 3 ships, and I could. I tried to do that with the Tier 7 mission here, and I spent about an hour and a half going through different battles and permutations and how to do it, and it just was not working out. So there's a little bit of wiggle room. I only have my IG-88 at gear 11. The other 2 pilots are at gear 12. They're not fully maxed, so maybe you can do it if you completely fully max those other 3 ships or whatever 3 ships you're going to use. But for me, I couldn't quite get it done. So what I did have to do is just call in the Xanadu Blood. But literally, that's all it did. I called it in. I got 1 reinforcement turn from it, which did a call to assist. And then it got shot. It got 1 shot and died before it could take another action. So it could have done that at gear level 1 and skill level 1 and the pilot at level 1. And just as long as you have the ship at 7 stars, it's certainly doable. So you don't need a fully fledged, fleshed out 4 ships. 3 can carry the day. And I even think that the weakest ship for this event is probably Slave 1. Unfortunately, that's the ship that's been around the longest. Boba Fett is the bounty hunter that's been around the longest. So it's unlikely that you don't have that ship geared up. But if you were starting from scratch, I would say go for the other 3. Hounds Tooth, IG-2000, and the Xanadu Blood. Strictly for this event, they are really good. The breach mechanic, the extra damage, the call to assist, all of that works really well. Boba Fett doesn't really get the job done because the Hans Millennium Falcon is constantly clearing debuffs. If you ever stack 3 debuffs on an enemy target, they get cleared. So Boba Fett's debuffs, his target lock, all that, they get stripped away. And when he gets called in as a reinforcement where he shines because he has retribution and taunt, 1 hit from Hans Millennium Falcon removes those buffs. So then he's just sitting there. So in my view, he's the weakest of the 3 ships. But again, I think you can do it mainly with any 3. And so again, I mentioned I spent a lot of time on this event. I have 1 or 2 successful runs here at the beginning, unsuccessful runs at the beginning of the video, just so you can kind of see the strategy, what I tried and what goes wrong. At the end of the day, brute force won. I kind of tried to finesse early on about, well, if I do the stun to the B-wing, and then I focus damage on the Y-wing, and then I keep my debuff spread out, and then it didn't really work. Every time I tried to do that, I would get close, but you would get overwhelmed. Part of the problem is we only have 4 ships available for our side, and the enemy can call at least 5 total ships, if not more, and they get a double reinforcement, just like the Ghost and the Phantom 2 work together, where you can call 1, and then it reduces the cooldown to call the other. Akbar usually calls in an A-Wing as his first reinforcement, and I believe that reduces the cooldown, so the very next move, Akbar can call another reinforcement. And if that happens, you're going to get behind and you're going to get outpaced. There is no healing on this team. The ultimate, the Vader's captain ship that you have doesn't really help out. You're forced to use it, and I think that was intentional to keep you from having a good ultimate ability, to keep you from having something that could really power you through and rely on your own captain. You're stuck with this Vader Executor Death Squadron capital ship, and I mean, it's fine, but it's not going to carry the day for you like a Thrawn ultimate would. So what I did at the end of the day, the Y-Wing that starts in the lineup is going to taunt. At some point, it's going to put a taunt up. So I focused my damage there early, tried to blast through it as quickly as I could, because then when it taunts, I'm already working on it, and I can just continue to push through that damage. Then I switch focus to the B-Wing, try to keep that lockdown, and in the successful run, and in many other runs as well, this wasn't just like a 1 in 100 lucky thing. This happened quite often in the runs. Han's Millennium Falcon will let the Outmaneuver buff expire, and it won't put it back on itself. So it will be open to attack. And in the successful run, it was open to attack when I had the stun ready from IG-2000. So I was able to stun the Falcon, and then at that point, it was over. I was able to take out the B-Wing and then take out Han's Millennium Falcon. So the final run was a 2-minute run. I don't think they called in a single reinforcement. It went that fast. The event for just this tier 7 didn't take me those 2 minutes. It did take, like I said, about an hour and a half trying to figure this out. But at the end of the day, I just brute forced it. The ships that you're using have good synergy with Breach. So you want to get Breach on that Y-Wing, and then basically you want to just get IG-2000 called to attack that Y-Wing as many times as possible. It does bonus damage with the basic on breached enemies, and it'll double tap. So IG-2000 can really quickly burn down any enemy that has Breach on it if it's attacking it. And you can get Breach on with the Hounds Tooth taunt. You can get Breach on by calling in the Xanadu Blood. I think the Xanadu Blood basic has it on it. There's a lot of ways to get Breach on the enemy, so do that. Focus fire on the Y-Wing. Get it down as quickly as you can. Still watch for those 3 debuffs. If possible, spread the debuffs around. If your stun is up, but you've got 2 debuffs on the Y-Wing, don't use the stun, because if that's the 3rd debuff, you're just going to cleanse everything and you're going to set yourself behind. So that's the one finesse part here. Don't knowingly put a 3rd debuff on the enemy that you're attacking, because you know it's going to get cleansed. Unless it's Han's Millennium Falcon, that can't cleanse itself, but if you're getting 3 debuffs on the Falcon, you're pretty much on your way to winning the fight, because you've been able to blast through the other defenses. So Y-Wing, focus fire, get Breach on it, get IG-2000 attacking it, call in the assist, anything you can do. Stun the B-Wing if you need to, or if you have the opportunity. Burn down the Y-Wing, then the B-Wing, and then Han's Millennium Falcon if the A-Wing comes in. It can cause trouble, but maybe you put your stun on that if you can. Do whatever you can to keep that thing kind of locked down. But if they start getting reinforcements, if they get both reinforcements in, if at any point it's 5-on-4 or 5-on-3, you're done. Save yourself the hassle. Don't waste your time and hit a restart. But this isn't bad, folks. You can get through it. Like I said, I'll have the stats up for the ships. 3 of them are pretty well kitted out. 2 Gear 12s, a Gear 11, and then nothing, basically, for my, my Xanadu Blood and my Cad Bane. So that's the basic strategy. Again, you can see it, but there's a lot of ways this will work. Depending on how the speeds work, how the lineup of turns works out. If you notice something's going weird, that, oh, the Y-Wing's not taunting because your turns are lining up differently, that's fine. Then focus fire that B-Wing. Get that down if that makes sense. Don't use my strategy as the end-all be-all. It just is how it worked for my turns and my speeds. But I think it is the right way. I think that's the most efficient way to go about this. Y-Wing, B-Wing, and then if the A-Wing comes in, do that. But if not, try to power down Han's Millennium Falcon. So stick with it. This isn't a bad one. When it works, it just works. Again, I could not believe how fast the run went when it actually worked out, how successful it was, with how many kind of long, grueling attempts I took to think about each turn. And as I'm getting down to, oh my gosh, do I do this move or this move? And there's 4 enemies on the field. And then at the end of the day, the final run, the one that worked was the easiest one, the most straightforward, what you saw there. So good luck with the event. Han's Millennium Falcon, it still is the meta until we get the Negotiator popping out. I think that might dethrone it, but it's going to be a couple of months until that happens. And even then, this is still going to be a really, really good second team, if the Negotiator can even dethrone it. I think it will. I think it was meant to do that. But either way, still a solid ship and one that you want to add to your lineup as quickly as possible. So good luck with the event. Let me know if you have any questions while you're trying to go through it. I will answer any that I can. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next time.